And good afternoon, and welcome back, guys, to the Legend of Zelda Pentaforce Tournament. We have a Week 3 matchup today. We are broadcasting this live with live commentary between Imasock and Sparkover. I am Darkfalls, and with me today is the Grand Lake Effect. How are you doing today, my friend?
I am good. Looking forward to even more delicious Zelda 1 Pentaforce randomizer action.
So we are playing with the Pentaforce rules. So we are going to have 5 Triforces need to enter level 9. And more importantly, our important items can be possibly in level 9. So we can go into level 9 to find the bow, to have to come back out to find the arrows somewhere else, guarded by a Goma, for example.
Always fun. And I still want to see the required triple dip seed, but we'll get there.
That'll happen eventually. Now, this is a 1-1 record matchup, so this should be quite a good one today.
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely looking forward to this. And we'll be getting underway here very, very shortly. Although, this is interesting because normally when we see people switch their sprites, it's a bunch of different sprites, but we've got Zelda v. Zelda.
We do. We have white dress Zelda versus black dress Zelda, so good versus evil.
That's dark blue, though, so...
Well, close enough. And we will be underway here momentarily, and we'll see where we start. So when we begin, we're going to be looking for a couple things. We'll be looking for our wood sword, DG. We'll also be looking for that very important armor item, as well as some early dungeons to go through.
Yep. No, absolutely. And again, the big thing to take a look at here is where our start screen is going to be. And that's going to sort of have a big effect on routing in general, because the wood sword is going to be in one of those open caves you're going to find. And depending on where you start, it's going to depend on how you route. Because if you're closer to the east side of like where the forest is, you're going to route in the Armo statue, so you can probably get the free item. If you're on the vanilla start screen, you have a couple of options, and those options depend on whether or not you can comfortably screen scroll. And then there's if you start in the Dead Woods, again, a lot of those routing decisions depend on screen scrolling, because if the closer you are to the western side of Hyrule, the screen scroll makes it easier to get over to the grave where there's some open caves and there's the Armo statue. So it's definitely one of those, the more you've played the game and the more skills you have, the more routing options are available to you.
Absolutely. And we are going to be underway momentarily, and we will see where we begin. And it looks like we're going to begin near Vanilla Start. So quite a few open caves here to begin with.
Right, so the interesting thing about this is that's just basically starting at the vanilla start screen, where we're going to find 25 rupee bombs. But the big thing here is where you route. Now, I know when I first started running this game, I couldn't screen scroll. So my route from here was take out these caves, head on up to the vanilla blue ring Armos for the vanilla any percent run, check that out, and then up A, and then go over to the eastern side of Hyrule to get the other 3 Armos items in those open caves.
I potentially check level 3 too while you're in that section, so that's usually a pretty quick check as well.
Oh, and we do apologize for the little fast forward thing, but apparently Imasock is now in the Dead Woods with a candle.
Alright, so we should be back relatively synced up. Sock took a candle from Antiquini. They both did, I believe.
Yeah.
And it looks like Sparkover has found the any roads, and one goes up into Death Mountain, so not a bad pull. And Imasock has found level 4, so 4 is an interesting beast, TG.
Yeah, 4 is definitely an interesting beast because it's right on the cusp of being easy to moderately difficult. I say that because sometimes you'll have an easier enemy set. All the bomb holes in 4 are easily accessible. The problem is 4 has a tendency to be ladder blocked a lot of the times, or just, in general, be just a pain to explore. In this case, we do have this key door that's preventing us from doing a lot of things. So 4, while you're happy to know where a dungeon is, you're not necessarily excited to explore 4 with just a candle.
Yeah, you don't want to come back when you can actually kill stuff. And again, as you said, it tends to be a little bit on the linear side, so you could run into those ladder blocks, key blocks, of course, as well.
Right. But the other interesting thing about this flag set here is you'll notice we started in the middle here, and that tends to make some of the more linear dungeons, like a level 4, like a level 6, a little bit less linear because, as you can see, we have 2 options. We can go north or south there. Both options are blocked by a key right now. So you see Sock nope out of there. Sparkover's probably going to do the same thing here in a bit. But with the start room being able to be on literally anything, any dungeon room that has something on the perimeter of the dungeon, it makes for a lot of different entrance points, different routing decisions, which, even though we're using vanilla dungeon shapes, does add a little bit of interesting variance to them.
And the vanilla Blue Ring Armos not coming up with much, just a shop selling a rather expensive candle, so it's probably a good thing that we were able to find a free one. And he's going to go down and check Vanilla 3, and then he'll see if he decides to go to the Eastern part of our world after this or not.
Yep, so Spark doing the same thing that we saw Sock do, and just noping out a 4 after getting the key.
Tries to burn the Octorok to get the free pack of bombs. Unfortunately, though, has more than 1 HP, so I'm not going to be able to do that.
Yep, and that's going to be a big thing, is, again, resource management. You saw both of our runners opt to keep their key and not continue exploring level 4, and that's a twofold reason. Number one, again, you just have the candle, so it's a little bit more difficult to explore level 4. Number two is keys, you don't have a way to efficiently kill enemies, and you saw Gibdos in level 4. And with this flag set, with Gibdos only plus or minus 2 HP, there is no way one red, one blue candle flame can kill an enemy, because the most it can do, because of iframes, is 3 damage. So you're not going to be able to efficiently kill anything either. So noping out with the key, saving that later to explore like a level 1 or a level 2, probably a much better option right now.
Well, especially level 1, because it does have those 2 items, so 1 on the ground, 1 beneath the staircase. So coming across level 2, level 1, where you can actually get into the dungeon, definitely is a valid way to use your key. Whereas level 4, where you can't really do much because of the enemies, you might want to hold on to that for just a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's another big thing here is because you only need five Triforces, not Tri-5 forces, 5 Triforces. Important items can be in level 9. So it's also a matter of being able to efficiently explore the dungeons you do find, and not, beat your head against a wall for 20 minutes in a dungeon that may only reward you with like the red candle.
Oh, well, again though, red candle might not be the worst thing, especially this early into the seed. It does devalue as the seed goes on, but when you get it 5-10 minutes in the seed, it's never going to turn down.
No, absolutely not. And I say that because, red candle, like the boomerangs, is one of those items with diminishing returns. The later on the seed you find it, the less beneficial it becomes.
So we do have Imasock heading up towards the grave, so he's going to get the grave armor check. We do find a hint shop. Problem with the hint shop is we don't have the book yet, so we can't understand what the old men are going to be telling us. So until we get that book, those hints are going to be kind of useless.
Oh, but what we did find over there in the forest is a white sword item of silver arrows, and that's nice because that's one of the 2 things you're guaranteed to need, although usually you're going to want 3 ladder bow silvers, and knowing where the silver arrows are is going to take a huge burden off, because you want to find those 3 things. You're not necessarily exploring all the dungeons, so knowing where silver arrows are is huge.
Very true. My one caveat to that would be level 9 will kind of tell us where the silvers are to an extent, whereas it won't tell us where the bow is. So to have the silvers outside of 9 and not the bow is kind of the one little caveat that I'd want it to be the other way around, but definitely nice to have them.
Given the choice between knowing where they are and not knowing where they are, I'll take where they are. And speaking of diminishing returns in the red candle, you have it as the Armos item there. So that's actually very nice. And here's an interesting thing. We're only 6 minutes into this race. I would be tempted there to retry completely and just beeline up there for the candle so I could take the heart container from the Take Anyone You Want cave.
It would be a very tempting thing, especially knowing that the silvers are white sword item, because you could get the extra heart to get into that 4 or 6 range.
Well, that's the thing, is Sock doesn't know that silvers are the white sword item, but still 6 minutes in, I would heavily contemplate that. The other thing that the red candle is going to allow Sock to do is it's now a repeatable damage source. So if you go into a dungeon and it's an enemy set like Gariz and Stalfos or Gibdos and Stalfos or things that are burnable by the candle, you can technically go ahead and explore that dungeon now and be able to kill things, which will definitely help exploration. Now, I'm not necessarily advocating exploring like a level 7 with just the candle, because you don't necessarily want to, but you certainly have that option now if you come across a dungeon that you want to explore.
I mean, you do have that one key. You saw that Gibdos are in level 4. Gibdos arses up to the fire, so we could burn those down and see what we have. 4 is a little bit of a risk because, as you said earlier, it does tend to be a little bit on the block side.
Yep, and of course we are still looking for that wood sword.
And unfortunately, our Archie phone looks to be about 60 rupees, so money might be a little on the tougher side of the seat.
Yep, and again, well, here's a great find. You mentioned level 1 earlier. Level 1 is a great find here, as you said, because you're going to find the 2 items. One of them's just going to be lying out on the ground. The other one's going to be through a staircase. So level 1 is just a fantastic, fantastic dungeon to find. On the list of things, level 1 is probably the first dungeon you want to find. It's right there, right up there next to Gimme Red Ring under Armo's statue.
Yep. He does unfortunately take a death, but he does have the candle, so you can burn down his Gibdo. Just gonna be able to not do 100%.
Nope.
One of them does look to be holding a key, I believe that looks like.
Yep. That Gibdo definitely has that key under wraps there.
We're not starting this already. He does pick up the key from the Gibdo. And that was the right-handed wing of the eagle, so we know that he has to go the opposite direction now.
Yeah, but again, that's a great thing that Sock just did there. You have this little section of a dungeon to explore, and this is fantastic what he's doing here. He's clipped into the wall here, and because he has a repeatable damage source, he can just go ahead and stay camped out here in this wall and let the Landmolas come to him, because there's legitimately nothing they can do to kill Link while he's in the wall there. Sparkover is finding some stuff as well. But that's a fantastic, fantastic Landmola kill there for Sock.
Yep, he was able to get in there and kill the Landmola, and now we saw someone that he can't kill. We just saw a pack of bunnies. So this room has something that could be a little bit troublesome. And that's the Dongos, so again, unless we want to feed them 2 bombs, we can't kill much of them.
And considering we only have 6 bombs right now, we really don't want to waste our bombs on the Dodongo room, because there are so many other rooms here in level 1 right now that we can explore, that the chances, I mean, yes, it's a small dungeon. I think it's like 18 rooms. So the chance of the room having something you need is fairly high. But at the same time, you only have 6 bombs. There's zero need to waste your bombs in a room like that when you're going to probably want them for exploration purposes instead.
And a very nice kill on the Landmola by Imasock, without even using the block clip. Just decides to burn the heck and gets through him pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, that was an absolutely beautiful kill. So Sparkover is going to continue some exploration here as well. I believe by default she now knows that the red candle is the Armos item over, or not the Armos item is over in the grave, not that it's the red candle.
And that push block does not move. Sparkover has just found their wooden sword.
And that's an interesting location for the wooden sword, because it's not necessarily in the top trolley locations for a sword, but it is one of those things where there's so many caves up in that area that it is just time consuming to get up there. Yeah. It's not as bad as the open cave in Death Mountain or the open cave down in the bottom of the Dead Woods, but it's still right up there with, well, this is a pain.
Yeah, and a lot of people will wait until they have the pack of 4 bombs to get up there, so you can kind of do everything in one foul swoop. So they don't have to go all the way up and then come back later. And we have more Landmolas, unfortunately. This one's kind of get revenge on Sock.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing about that room with the Landmolas is there's no blocks and there's no actual doorway. We just have a bomb hole. You can't stand in a bomb hole to mitigate their damage, so you legitimately just have to be standing there in the room with them. And Sock, I think, making a very good call here and just saying, nope, I'm good with level 1, I'll come back later.
And that's our second hint shop, so now Sock knows where they can get all of their hints. And Sock will probably come across the wood sword. They are right in the general vicinity.
Also, I do like the fact that the thing that all the old men and the merchants are saying is "tell me a story," and we said we got "tell me a story" with the letter there as well. So I find that kind of humorous.
Iroh's bedtime story. Alright, so we will see exactly where Imasock decides to go. I'm gonna do the quick bomb block here. Goes inside, and that's just a casino, so. Could do gamble stress, decides not to.
Yep. And even though we know the sword is up in the vanilla letter cave, I agree with Sock's routing here, because you definitely want to explore these first. It sucks when you're going and doing this and that happens, which is what I was going to say. But that's the exact way I would be routing that too.
Yeah, because you don't want to go up that staircase and then take a death, unfortunately, and have to come back down and be kind of like locked on that staircase, so you can't get by them. You'll see that a lot with Lionels, Lionels are on that screen. We just can't get past them.
Yeah, there are 3 screens in particular where having Lionels on them makes them an absolute pain. That screen to get to the letter cave, the screen to the south of Vanilla level 6, and the screen to the south of Vanilla level 2, because there are bottlenecks and there's only that one way up. Having Lionels there, or levers, or things that can really, really mess you up and get in your way, with bottlenecks like that, make those screens very, very difficult.
Thankfully, it does look like Imasock is heading right back over there, though, to finish off the route. Yeah, no, he's going down into the forest, so it could be a little bit before he gets back up there after that death.
Yeah. Well, as I said here, it makes sense for Sock to go ahead and try and get exploration in, because he's going to eventually route that back in. And the red candle, and as he finds the location of silver arrows, the red candle is a repeatable damage source. Now, you can't beat everything with it. You can't beat Wizards, you can't beat Dark Nuts, but it's enough of a damage source that you can legitimately explore some dungeons and not have to worry about it. So I'm perfectly okay, and I agree with this. Let's get some information. Let's try and find out where everything is, so you're not scrambling to find it later on.
Alright, we do see a potion shop over on Sparkover's side, and I didn't catch the prices were, but they don't look too bad.
Red was definitely the better option, because I believe blue was 50 some odd rupees and red was 60 some odd rupees.
All right,
and I also believe that I did see Sparkover purchase a potion, and just wanted to go explore the corner there.
Just gonna walk around the cave a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 60 higher secret, so that's a little bit on a tough money bend.
Yeah, so seeing a secret, a large secret of 60 rupees, if I'm playing this, that tells me a couple of things. That tells me, one, I'm more than likely not getting the blue ring in this seed, because there are multiple other things that may need to be purchased. Door repairs are going to be a thing. You may need to purchase arrows. So when I see a small, large secret like that, the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm probably green tunicking this unless I come across the red ring, because it's going to be very, very rare that you get enough rupees built up to be able to purchase the blue ring and afford everything else you may or may not need in the season.
I mean, you never know when you're going to need bait or arrows, for example.
Exactly. And I would much rather, not have to farm that. But, also at the same time, if I catch myself in a situation where I come across the blue ring and I have the rupees by some miraculous case, I probably will buy it.
Now, sword in hand, Sparkover is heading back into level 4, where unfortunately they hug a give, though, so they're going to come back there one more time.
Yeah, but again, being back in level 4 is a little bit significantly easier now with the Gibdos, or with the sword, not with the Gibdos. Yeah, it's easier with Gibdos. Well, it is, as opposed to Wizrobes.
Or Darknuts.
Depending, if you have Beam Sword and you know where to stand, Darknuts aren't too bad. But killing this level 4 with a wood sword can be a lot easier, and it is still a fairly small dungeon. So as long as we don't end up getting ladder blocked, we'll be able to hopefully get a Triforce and an item out of this level 4.
I believe they do have a couple keys, so that's not going to stop them as far as the key blocks go. We'll see how blocked he is as far as ladders and modes like that go.
Nope, and a routing decision just became very interesting here, because the coast item was the white sword.
That's a very nice item. It does double your offense, so picking that up is definitely going to be beneficial if they can route it in. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to pick it up. It's not something mandatory like the silvers or the bow, but if you can get it, it's definitely nice to have.
See, white sword is one of those interesting things. Is my want for the white sword is variable depending on the tunic that I have. So if I have red ring, for example, I'm not going to go out of my way for the white sword. But in this situation, seeing it being a small money seed, for example, where even though we see Sock right now at 160, 155 rupees there for the door repair, which is still a significant amount, because it's a small money seed, I'm going to prioritize the white sword a little bit higher, because if I can't tank hits, I want to be able to kill things faster.
Offense to counteract defense.
Right. So knowing where it is, I'm not going to go out of my way to get it, but there are a couple of ways to route that in, especially considering level 5 is right over here in the woods, and there is also a chance you can be getting something over in the dead woods, and if you're capable of doing it, you can always world wrap around and pick it up.
No, you were talking about linos on these narrow screens, and you got your wish.
What do you mean, my wish?
But Sock does get around it, though, and can continue on the path of the sword, hopefully.
Yep. So we have the Triforce here in level 4, and like a good Triforce, it's just sort of sitting there hanging out inside of a Gibdo. But we still have yet to come across the item in level 4 yet.
So that is Sparkover's first Triforce.
Yep, and that's also the first Triforce of the match. But yeah, you've already got most of 4 taken care of. Yeah, you absolutely go right back in and dive for that item because, again, it's a small dungeon. You've got to mostly export. You don't want to sit there in the back of your mind saying, well, is the bow in 4? Is the ladder in 4? Something I need. You don't want to do that.
It does look like as long as Imasock can avoid the hoppers and get into the cave here, they'll most likely pick up their sword momentarily. It's one cave to the left in the letter spot.
Yep. Also, level 4, like level 1, seems to be in Landmola nesting ground, although we've got both varieties here in 4, both the spicy and non-spicy varieties, so pick your warrior.
And it does look like Imasock will hopefully pick up his sword momentarily. And he does get the cave, so they will both be armed. I would say at this point, though, Sock does have a little bit of the offensive advantage with that little bit of a ranged weapon.
Right, and I will say, that is an absolutely beautiful fight there by Sparkover in that room. Not only killing the Dark Knights, but efficiently killing them with swords and bombs, and not taking any damage while doing it. That was just an absolutely fantastic room. Then you get this room, which is an absolute pain because you have to kill it. Because there are shutter doors blocking both of your directions, so you have to kill this room. And the hardest part about this room is going to be avoiding the bunnies.
It is nice if you have the ladder for this room, so you can kind of just cheese the Gibdos and Dark Knights, but those bunnies don't care about water, so they'll just hop over it and come at you.
The big advantage Spark did have until right there was the sword beams. Unfortunately, when fighting fighting Pole's Voice, what you want to do is you don't want to fight them from the top as much as possible because they're going to just jump up and be spastic at you. So you want to try and fight them from below. And are those Koopas firing arrow? What's that? Because those are supposed to be Moblins, but
I didn't catch what that was.
They're Moblins, but because of how they're coming out of level 4, the Moblins are taking the palette of the screen instead of the regular blue palette. They're not loading their palette correctly.
Oh! Okay, there we go. And you have the random voice inside all of our heads. That would be our lovely production manager.
That's one Transmatrix, by the way.
Yep, and we have level 3 by Imasock and an immediate Triforce get in level 3 for Sock. So definitely going to be jumping right back into level 3 to get the item there.
2 keys under Sock's belt, so he can definitely go deeper in here. Now, on that start screen, you can see a key door. Usually a lot of people will try to pirouette that. In this case, though, since we do have the shifted start screen, that makes that quite a bit more difficult. It doesn't really act as you would think it would.
I mean, you can still pirouette it, you just have to make sure you're entering from the right direction. Not to be confused with the one direction.
So Sock is going to continue downward because that is the path of least resistance. Going to burn down some Korea and hopefully find the item relatively soon. Now, he's probably looking for keys, maybe the heart container here. And he does get a key for killing that room.
Yep, Sparkover, she is back inside the grave. Going to go ahead and do some exploration over here. Is going to end up with the red candle and about 4 screens when we end up over at the Armos statues.
No item here for Sock, but he did get a pack of bombs, so he'll be able to go in a little bit deeper here. 3 is kind of an awkward level throughout just because it has a really weird pattern to it.
Yeah, there really isn't a good way to route 3 efficiently. Because, no matter which way you do, you're going to have to do some manner of backtracking. Especially because, statistically speaking, you're going to get that corridor staircase in here. And that means there's a wall to the left you normally can't bomb into, which just makes the routing that much more difficult. It's just a legitimate hard stop that, you're like, well, at least I know where I'm going, but, that sucks.
Yep. Now, Sparkover is about to get her red candle, which she picks up there.
I mean, even at this point, 23 minutes in, red candle is still a great pickup there, because as you've been mentioning with Sock, it is a nice range weapon. And unfortunately, we might have a ladder block here.
Yeah, if the item is in that one room to the north that we can't get to, that could be troublesome. But we do have the whole left wing of level 3 to clear too.
Yep, and speaking of levels, we've got Spark in level 7.
7's an interesting beast to dig out. A lot of people avoid it because of how massive it tends to be. What is 33 rooms, I believe?
Yep.
So a lot of people avoid it, but we've seen time. Now that is trouble for Sock. That is definitely a ladder situation.
Yep. The thing I like about level 7 is one of those high-risk, high-reward dungeons. I personally like to play the Riverboat Gambler. So level 7 for me is great because, as you mentioned, a lot of runners don't like 7 because it's big, it's cumbersome. But if you happen to come across a 7 and dig it and get something worthwhile, especially if you get it rather quickly, then that could be a huge boon, a huge advantage. So as much a lot of people hate 7, I'm in the feeling of I like 7 if I feel it's going to give me an advantage.
Sock unfortunately getting trapped in this room, even though he doesn't have to clear it. Thankfully, again, he does have the candle, so this is where the candles are going to come out for him. He'll be able to clear the room out, and he does. We're in a real state here at this level 3 to find that item. Hopefully, he finds it in this northern room here. Other than that, he's going to have to come back with the ladder.
Yeah, and it's very disappointing to come across that because of the fact that, this is up in the Death Mountain area. You don't want to have to come back here. You can't guarantee you're going to find the recorder. So having to come back here because something is ladder blocked is awful. But we do end up finding the item here, and it's a good one.
That is a very good one. So that's going to free up his money situation for one. He won't have to buy keys.
Yep, so finding the any key is great, and you're always happy to find it no matter what. I mean, not necessarily always, if you're looking for silvers or something. But any key is great because it's going to allow Sock to mitigate having to be concerned with one primary resource, which in this case is keys, which can be a hugely debilitating factor, especially while exploring 9. Sock, on the other hand, is going to be exploring level 2 right now. Or not Sock, Sparkover. And 2 is a great dungeon to find because as long as you're not bombing into an old man, or you haven't found Zelda's room, you can bomb into any direction, to any room into. So 2 is going to be pretty easy overall to explore.
3 and 1 also share that quality, where you can bomb through any wall pretty much, as long as they're adjacent to each other. And I believe 4 is pretty much like that, with a couple caveats.
Yep. One other thing to note there, Sock just picked up his 6th heart, which means he's now guaranteed to pick up the silver arrows when he gets himself back to the woods. And the other thing to note about the silver arrows being in the woods area is if Sock waits to pick those up till after he has the ladder, it becomes pretty easy to route the white sword into that.
And he does have his 6, so he knows he can get his silvers whenever he chooses to. It's just a matter of when you want to go back there. Probably finish up on the Death Mountain section here, then make his way back to that part of Hyrule. Alright, and we do have Sparkover still looking to get the weapon item here in level 2. I haven't found it quite yet.
Yep, and you're hoping it's in one of the easier rooms to kill here. You don't want it to be in a hard room, especially if it's going to be something that is required. And there's nothing worse than going through every room and then realizing I have to kill the 8 blue whiz robes.
Now we did just find a heart container. While every dungeon will have its own specific heart container, that could be the dungeon heart or it could be the item heart. Right now we always assume the first heart we find is the dungeon heart, so we'll see if she comes across the second one in a little bit.
I do love that when you get a desert room shifted into a dungeon and it doesn't end up on a desert tile, it's up on a tile, you get this really cool orange background.
Now, one thing I'll note, we did see the room go dark momentarily there on Sparkover's side. So those dark rooms, they'll never have a Triforce, they'll never have the item, so we know that the item for this level isn't going to be in that room. So we kind of know what we're getting into before we even kill it. And that's our Triforce. I don't believe she found the item yet, though.
There might have been. There was something mixed in with that rupee boss I saw. I couldn't make out what it was. We'll know if she goes back in or not.
No, she's taken off, so she might have found what she was looking for.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for a pause screen because there was definitely something mixed in with that rupee boss. I just couldn't tell what it was because of the rupee. And for those of you who are watching this post after on YouTube, I'm going to address a comment here in Twitch chat right now. This is a vodcast, so we do have some of our runners here. So Imasock himself is actually in chat and asking himself, he had the any key. Why he didn't continue looking in 7? Well, that was going to be a question I was going to ask you later, Sock, but since you don't seem to know the answer to it.
No, any key was not in level 2. Any key was... I forget where it was.
4? 4.
What was it for?
I think it was 4. But Imasock now has found level 2, so we might be able to have a little bit better indication of what we ended up finding in here.
I thought it was just a I thought it was just a key with the rupee boss. Any key was in
3.
So we'll see. Hopefully, when Sock kills out more of the level, what exactly was this level was hiding.
Well, Spark is going to go ahead and pick up the silver arrows. That is one piece of the puzzle now.
So with 6 hearts, we don't know exactly what it was. Both of them do have 6, so they'll both be guaranteed to pick it up at the very least.
We know it wasn't 4.
So it's either 5 or 6.
Right. I think one of the things here, as Spark finds level 1, is when you pick up the any key, a lot of times you're so conditioned to save your keys that you just instinctively do it. Like, I know for a fact that when I have the any key, if I'm trying to do the pirouette for a dungeon, I'll still pirouette even though I have the any key because I forget I have it.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of ingrained of how to manage your resources. You want to kind of avoid using keys if you possibly can. Silver's where?
So apparently, we now have our answer to what was in level 2. Look at the B button over on Sparkover's side. We found the bow.
And that's a fantastic find, so we know that Sock should be picking that up pretty soon. We did just notice Spark firing off some arrows at the Lamola, so that solves that mystery for us.
The mystery is history.
It is. It's all mystery, my dear Watson.
Yep, so speaking of projectile weapons, Sock putting the candle to fantastic use here. However, I do have to say, too much fire can burn your pancakes.
In this case, we kind of want to burn them, though, because we don't want them coming back to trouble us later.
Yep, so there was that key we couldn't make out there in the rupee boss room.
Now, you gotta love when you have squishy Guerrillas, especially the bomb dropping type.
Oh.
1 HP just to get all the bombs you want. Can't beat that.
There it is. That's why we couldn't see the bow. It's up here in this room covered by a spike trap.
So matching the palette and hidden by a spike, so quite difficult to see. So props to both of them for finding that.
Absolutely. And see, that's one of the things I love and hate at the same time about the palette swaps in dungeons, is you get these scenarios where items, or Link in some cases, or whatever your sprites you're playing as, can sort of blend into the background. So I love it because you get all these really cool new dungeon palettes to play through. But at the same time, you're like, wait, what just happened?
I mean, then you have your favorite camouflaging enemies, such as your moblins. Camo moblins are the best.
Yes, well, that's because, there are only 4 colors that the screen can show at once. So, usually the dark blue moblins are dark blue because they don't have to worry about that color scheme on the overworld. Because of the way the dungeons work, where that color is accessed, it's the same as the dungeon palette. So, that's why the blue moblins are going to be the same color as the dungeon.
Now, Sparkover sees the Triforce and one. Gonna pass it up for now to try to get the item, and that's the compass, which is after the Triforce. So, not much help there, game, but thank you for trying.
Thank you, game.
And Sock is back in level 4. We'll see if Sock digs around here for a bit longer.
Yep. Now, here's an interesting scenario: is we've got bow, we've got silvers, so we don't necessarily need the ladder. So this is one of those situations where you're in what I like to refer to as Schrodinger's go mode, where you're in go mode, but you're not in go mode. And what I mean by that is, you're in these levels. So you're going to go ahead, and you're probably going to just beeline for Triforces. If you happen to come across the item on your way, great. But you're not necessarily going to take a look around some of your bigger dungeons. Something like, a 7 or an 8. You're just going to get the Triforce and go. Because there's a very decent chance that you don't need ladder to get through 9. So, if I'm Sock in this situation, and Spark, I just go ahead and I get my Triforces, and I gamble on the fact that I don't need ladder.
Because at the very worst, when you go into level 9 gambling, you at least gain knowledge. You're able to kind of map your level 9. You can kind of figure out where Ganon is, where Zelda is, and kind of figure out the path that you need. So if you do have to leave, at least when you go back in, you don't have to worry about digging back through it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and that's, again, one of the interesting things of this flag set is the option that you have to do that. And you could, also just end up in level 9 and randomly take a staircase and, oh, hi, here's the ladder.
Yeah, that push button does not push, as we saw earlier when Sock was here. So, level 1 being stingy with both of its items. It could be in his money on that Sock did not kill, and that's just a heart container. So I don't think we saw heart container 1 yet, so we're not gonna call that the dungeon quite yet.
Yep, so nothing there in that room, and Sock gonna go ahead and pick up Triforce out of level 4, and I believe that is Sock's 4th Triforce. So this is a very interesting thing now. You know where level 6 is. You know where level 7 is. Do you go into one of those to try and find the Triforce, or do you try and dig for like a level 5?
I would probably go back to level 1. He hasn't gotten that Triforce yet. I don't believe.
No, he has. Yeah, Sock has the Triforce out of 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Alright, I didn't catch him picking that up. That's not marked on the tracker.
What, the 1 Triforce? I thought he picked it up.
I could be wrong. Anyway, we'll see what Sock's play next play would be. 1 would be my first choice. That means he would have 3 at this point. But we'll find out momentarily what his play is after he leaves level 4 here.
This land molar room just being all kinds of painful. The good thing for Spark, though, is unlike when Sock came in here the first time, she's got bow. Oh, Fairygeddon!
It's always nice when you mow down a pack of enemies when it's your 16th kill because you get all those fairies off it.
Yep. My favorite video is, I can't remember where it was, but I saw a video of somebody doing that while Genie farming in the grave, and it was just 10 fairies on screen.
That's a true Fairygeddon.
That was a beautiful, beautiful use of the red candle there to just loop that land mole and kill it.
Yeah, Lamros tend to turn back on themselves, so if you can get them in the right pattern, they can kind of just tend to kill themselves. And this is a transport, this is a staircase in level 1, so this should be our staircase item. Well, it will be our staircase item.
Now, interesting thing about dark nuts in this room is if you wait, you can stab upwards as the dark nut is passing by you and still hit it with the hitbox of the sword. So you can actually hit them as they're walking towards you in this scenario. And Raft is an interesting item.
Yeah, so it does open up 2 spots, but it's the kind of item that you want when you're looking for dungeons.
Right, but at the same time, it's like we know where most of the dungeons that we need are going to be, so we don't necessarily need Raft.
Have we found 9 yet? I don't see it. I don't think we have. Sparkover is in level 6. That's 8 though. So with the silver arrows, you can take out this Goma, and there are 2 items here in 8, so this is definitely a good place to be.
Right, and we also have the Triforce location here as well. Yep, so Sock is still looking for the item over here in 4, and unfortunately, this is one of those scenarios like I was talking about earlier where you forget to check something really close to where you start and ends up having what you need. And in this case, having exactly what the doctor ordered, the step ladder.
That's a very huge pickup for Sock, picking up that ladder.
Right. Because now we are officially in go mode on Sock's side, unless, of course, you need the Raft that Spark just found to get to 9 or something like that. But you're effectively in go mode there. So you're now going to go back to a dungeon, get that, and then just get the heck on up out of Dodge, because you want to find 9 and you want to go.
No, one thing to note is Sock is still on Green Tunic and only 7 hearts, so that puts Sock within 2 Ganon High Roll drivers. So with this flag set, it tends to be a little more volatile in that you're not going to get to Ganon with a lot of the stuff sometimes. You might not have Red Ring, you might not have Blue Ring, you might have pretty low hearts, so you have to be really careful with your Ganon fights. Right,
and that makes finding not necessarily the letter, but also the take any ones you want caves very, very nice, because you have the option of a potion. And sometimes you just need that potion to help mitigate things. And, you know, we're not all going to be the skill level of someone like a Crystal Saver who can half-heart, pause strat, recorder, kill Ganon. Most of us still need a little bit of a buffer. And Spark is in the room with the Triforce here in 8, and a good thing for her is it's just a bunch of Gibdos, and we can just go ahead and kill the Gibdos with the fire. And Sock gonna go ahead and pick up the silver arrows that are in the White Sword Cave. Now at this point, if I'm Sock, I explore the bottom coast here real quick, and run and picking up that White Sword.
Yeah, I mean you have the ladder near right here, so you might as well. He has cleared out the coast already. Is level 6.
That's why I knew you're gonna do that too, because we can stop in level 6 really quickly if you want to. Also, I'd like to point out really quick that the map that Spark has explored in level 8 right now just looked like a ninja star.
So one nice thing about having the silver arrows is it's the strongest weapon in the game other than the magical sword, which you most likely won't pick up in these kind of flags, because as you just said, hearts are kind of a limited basis. And that push block won't push, so that is not our item here in 6. But to have those silver arrows and you can do that 4 hearts worth of damage is definitely nice to have.
Especially on sets that are vulnerable to silver arrows, which is basically everything but Wizrobes and Dark Nuts.
And of course they'll still one-shot bunnies, but that's a given. I don't know if I'd use them on the bats here, just because of the money situation.
Oh, you're at 143, and there's nothing you're really considering purchasing anymore. I mean, unless you want that bomb upgrade that Spark just found. So, I mean, as long as you leave yourself enough to get through level 9 with, then I have no problem going ahead and using the silver arrows. Although what stinks about it is the Vires rolled high.
I guess. Yeah, so without being able to one-shot those Vires, if that's our bomb-dropping enemy in level 9, that's going to be a little bit of trouble. And we do find our power burst on level 8. So that could be a little bit of trouble as well if level 8 is power burst blocked and Sock might not head back there for a little bit.
Right, you'll now notice, because Sock noticed that the silver arrows weren't going to one-shot the Vires, he's just opting to use the normal break them apart method, and that's a fantastic find in that room, because you're no longer looking for items, you just need to know where you're going. So getting a compass is huge, because now you can just beeline to the room with the Triforce and only kill things you have to. Like this room, for example, there's nothing you need to do, so let's just go.
Checks north, and this might be our item in level 6. It is, and we have the wand, so that's going to be even more offense for Imasock. So definitely a very nice pickup.
See, that's an interesting routing decision there, to head up as opposed to just immediately go. But it turns out it's going to be a very nice pickup for Sock there, because more than likely we're down here by the coast. We're definitely, I don't want to say definitely, but we are more than likely going to go ahead and route the White Sword pickup in here. So now we can do 4 hearts of damage with the AB tap trick and swinging both the wand and the sword at the same time when you get the white sword. So of the items you can find here, red ring is the one you're looking for most, but you're not going to be disappointed with the wand.
I mean, we've seen it. You can carve apart patches, for example. Once we do get into level 9. Oh, hello, Dig Dugger. That might not be our Triforce.
Nope.
Nope, there it is.
Triforce is just sort of sitting out on the ground there, just doing nothing.
Very nice free Triforce by Imasock, and he is down with level 6 at this point. We'll see if he takes a right and goes to the white sword. I think he will be. And Sparkover is dealing with him, and Hamlet, who does not want her to get to that staircase.
Nope.
Gets by it though, and gets rewarded with the boomerang. And it says, she's gonna pick it up, it looks like.
Spark!
Did shoot an arrow at it, at least.
So arrowing the boomerang is the new burn the boomerang?
Would you rather just pick up without doing anything to it?
The boomerang can stay right where it is. But
So Sock does pick up the white sword, so that cuts the hits on getting needed from 15 down to 7 or 8 now.
Right, and again, white sword is huge again, especially because, as you mentioned, Sock is still on green tunic. So being able to kill things faster is definitely going to help with the defensive options. And I believe now we are heading back into Monaco Rock, which was level 1.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see if he digs out the items here now. With the bow, he can make quick work of the bunnies, which is what was holding him up last time. And he does a lot of it cleaned out already, so we'll see what his play is. Myself, I would get both items just because it is a small dungeon, so you might as well.
See, you can and you can't, because, again, the only thing that you're really looking to find here at this point is red ring. Nothing else that level 1 could contain is of any use to you, unless, you potentially need something to get into level 9. But at this point, if I know where level 9 is, I'm not bothering digging anything out.
Well, that's the key, though. Right now, we don't know where level 9 is, and I believe there was an item here that was helpful, but I can't remember exactly. And Sparkover does pick up the Triforce 8, so that gives Sparkover the 4th on the day.
Yep. So at this point, if we do have full clear overworld, that means we're looking at either the Recorder Lake, the Power Bracelet spots, or the Raft spots for level 9. And I don't think we've seen level 5 yet either.
Correct. And Sparkover finished off level 8 and is heading back over towards the coast section now. So yeah, we don't have level 9 and we don't have level 5 as you said. So it's just a matter of what do we find first. Well, other than that, Sock does have everything he needs to kill Ganon at the very least. It's just a matter of finding where Ganon is living today.
I'm going to guess somewhere in level 9.
Yeah. But we just gotta find out what level 9 is.
Because Fred still hasn't coded Ganon in other dungeons yet.
For now.
Oh, I know it's been discussed. Let's see what we get from killing these Dodongos, and that's a heart container.
I'll take that. Green Tunic.
Yep, was that the second heart container? Because I don't believe Sparkover killed that room.
Yeah, you're right. So our heart container was in level 1. Because there was another heart up in the tip of the eagle. And Sock is going to pass up the Triforce for now, so we'll see if he goes back to grab the second item here.
That's the reason you pass at the Triforce here, is to quickly explore these 2 rooms, then you grab the Triforce and go back to your starting area and go up to get the last bit that you need.
Doesn't have to go to the shrimp, so I don't know why he was. He just sees the open key on the ground, so the shrimp's not going to do anything for him.
A compulsion to murder every dark nut in sight?
I approve of that, but not hers. And Sparkover grabbed the Sharp Wand in level 6, and probably grabbing the Triforce momentarily as well.
Yep, because the Triforce is on the way down. And Spark does not have the compass, though. Good thing for Spark, though, is the Triforce just sort of flying in the middle.
That's right on the direct path as well, so she'll most likely pick that up unless she takes the transport.
Bless you. So now we are in the let's explore the overworld part of our seed, where Imasock is looking for level 9.
Now this is the frantic exploration of I have everything I need. Where can I go now, and what am I missing?
Well, aside from the obvious answer,
so we are going over to the vanilla level 5 spot, which we haven't checked quite yet. I don't think anyone has checked over here yet.
now this is one of those interesting places to route in because it's so out of the way.
Thank you, Sham.
Yeah, so Silver Arrows does make this screen a bit trivial, and interestingly enough, we are very close to Blue Ring territory now.
Yeah, if we have a rough enemy set in level 9, it could be the play to bolster the defenses, so to say. And level 9 is not up here either.
Nope, but Spark gonna go ahead and pick up her 5th Triforce. So now both of our runners have everything they need to get into level 9 and to kill Ganon. I don't want to necessarily say they have everything to get there because Spark still doesn't have the ladder, but they have everything they need to kill him.
Problem with Spark, I think does she have the raft yet?
Yeah, Spark does have the raft and the power bracelet.
Okay, so she doesn't have the flute.
Right.
I don't think Sock has the flute yet either.
Nope, we haven't seen the recorder here in this seed. So the question now becomes, where is Ganon? Where in the world is Ganon San Diego?
And what did he steal?
Princess Zelda.
And that is level 5 by Imasock, so knows where 5 is at the very least, but then I say no to exploring it.
I mean, right now you have no need to explore it because...
Well, right now we just need Ganon.
Right, you need level 9. And you're going to check every spot you haven't checked yet before you go back into exploring a dungeon. Because, I mean, you don't have any of the overworld exploration items. You don't have the power bracelet, you don't have the raft, you don't have the recorder. But you go ahead and you explore every spot you have left. And then you systematically go back through, okay, what dungeons have I got all the items out of? So in Sock's case, since we didn't get the second item out of 1, he'll be going back there. Then since we got the item out of 2, we got 3, we got 4. What's next? 8 would be the next place I would go because there's 2 items in 8. You know, so again, you figure out what's the best way for you to explore the overworld and find what you're looking for.
Looks like Sock is heading back towards the mountain to burn the one last bush that he missed on his first pass through in the double row of 4 bush line.
Yep, Spark has found level 3, which is very interesting. She'll be happy with the any key out of here.
But I mean, she does have 7 keys now, so it's not what she was looking for.
And I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
And that's TG, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to boo him or give him applause, but that's up to you.
Oh, you know they're gonna boo me.
Well, really so. And it's not down here. We do see a blue ring shop, though.
But Sock did go ahead and pick up some potion, so the money isn't there for the blue ring anymore.
With a green tunic and not many hearts, a potion definitely helps.
If I'm Sock, I want 1 more heart container, because that puts you at, you can still take 2 hugs from Ganon and survive with a potion, so... So, the interesting thing about this seed now becomes, where is level 9? And interesting for Spark, she picked up the Triforce out of 3 and then left.
So they are both hunting to see where level 9 is now. And Spark does find level 5, and like Sock says, I don't need you right now.
Yep.
Sock has gone back into level 1 to possibly take the second item now. I think at this point, Sock knows that he needs something. What he needs, he doesn't know.
Right, and like I said, one's the place you want to check first, because you've explored most of it. It's a pretty small dungeon. Yes, you do have to deal with the land molas here, the squiggle of danger noodles, as it were, but it's the easiest dungeon to check.
Very nice block clip by Sock to get through that room. Now, it's a matter of who checks what spot first and how much of an advantage that they have. If it's Power Versus blocked, Sparkover has a huge lead. I don't know if Sock will go back to level 8 for quite a bit.
No, the interesting thing here is Sock's going to get the raft out of one. Sock is over on the eastern half of the world, which means he's probably going to check the eastern raft spot first. We now know it's not vanilla level 4, so that's the only other raft spot we have access to. Is Sock's going to go ahead and use his potion to take care of the land molas there, and is going to be rewarded with the raft here. So at this point, he's probably going to go ahead and be like, no, I'm right here. I'm going to go check the Far East raft spot. And if that's level 9, then we're in very good relationship here. If it's not level 9, then we now know that I believe Spark has checked all 4 power bracelet spots. So if the level 9 isn't on that easternmost raft spot, we got to find the recorder.
And we have no idea where that could possibly be at the moment.
5 or 7.
Yep. No, just a matter of, well, Sock is back into 1, so I don't...
Because he hasn't found the floor drop
item.
item
Yeah,
yet.
the floor drop of the second heart. But that's the heart that you were just talking about. That puts him out of the high roll driver range, which is nice. Not what he wants to see, of course, but you won't shake a stick at it.
Yeah, so there is all of the power bracelet spots for Spark. So now we know that we're looking for a recorder, or we're looking for the other raft spots. So we're going to find out here in just a minute if that's what we need. Both of our runners are going to be converging on that raft spot now.
So we're going to have very close possible issues to 9, depending on if this is level 9 or not. We're about to find out by Spark, and it is level 9.
Wow! So raft required level 9. And now that we're here in level 9, we're going to be looking for a couple of things. We still don't have the book yet, so we're not going to be able to get any of the hints that the old men are going to provide. But we are listening for Ganon and looking for Zelda. And what I mean by that is Ganon is a loud boy. So if you are, in a cardinal direction adjacent to Ganon's room, you will hear him yelling because he wants everybody to know where he is. Also, we are going to be looking for a room with a shutter door that does not open after we kill all the enemies in it. That's going to be where Zelda is hiding out.
So now you have everything you need when you enter this level 9 TGE. What is your strategy? Do you take staircase, or do you try to go through the least path of resistance?
Well, since I don't, I'm not looking for items right now. I'm going to go for the path of least resistance. What I do is I'm going to start off by going north. And I want to stay in as straight a line as I can, because the more north you go, the more rooms you can hear and listen for Ganon. Because ultimately, the first thing you need to find is Ganon. If you happen to find Zelda on your way, that's great. But after you kill Ganon, every room that has a shutter door becomes an option to get Zelda. So, I personally am...
we might have Zelda right here, actually. Unless that's a hidden wall master.
Nope, we do have Zelda. So we've already found Zelda here, which both of our runners know that. Now this is very interesting because it becomes a routing game. Who can find Ganon first? And not only who can find Ganon first, but how many hearts do you have when you find Ganon? Sock has the big advantage here for a couple of reasons. One, that extra heart, and 2, the white sword.
And the potion. I don't know if Spark has a
Spark
potion.
bought a potion way back when.
Okay.
So Spark still has the potion, but the big advantage that Sock has is that extra heart, which allows him to take 2 high roll drivers from Ganon and not die, and the white sword. So again, the interesting thing here is going to be routing. Who is going to route where and why? And at this point, what I do is you're already over here, so I try and go as vertical as I can to start hearing as much Ganon as I can.
Spark does bomb south, and it looks like Sock is going to dip a staircase.
Now again, this is a very interesting tactic here from Sock, because yes, you're going to get to different places, by taking staircases. However, what you end up doing is you end up putting yourself in different locations and different areas, so you lose the ability to efficiently listen for Ganon. And at this point, because we know where Zelda's at, that's what we need to do, is listen for Ganon.
And of course, once you start taking staircases, if you're not mapping 9 efficiently, you can tend to confuse yourself more than just going on a straight path.
Right, but I mean, at this point, you're only killing, if you're, you're both of our runners, you're only killing rooms that you have to kill. I mean, Spark might have to start killing rooms for keys, but ultimately, you're only killing rooms that you have to kill. Because, I say this as, Sock kills a room he doesn't have to kill, but you only need to kill rooms you have to kill because you don't need anything. There's nothing you're looking for. And this is Ganon, I think. Yeah,
yes,
both of our runners have found Ganon at the same time.
Just about. I mean, Sparkover is just a room away.
Yeah. So Sparkover is going to know that when she goes back, she's going to find Ganon. Oh, unfortunately, Sock gets drivered. So that's going to put Sparkover in the driver's seat here. Unfortunately, she still only has 2.5 hearts. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here, especially with that Ganon spawn point that she's going to end up with.
I believe she is also on green tunic, and yep, she takes one high roll driver, and unfortunately he's going back to start as well.
Yep, so the interesting thing about that Ganon spawn point is you notice both runners try and go and be aggressive to attack him, which is fine, but since you can't really see where he's at, I'm not a fan of, if he's that far away, trying to run over and get that first stab in on him. Ganon moves in a figure 8 pattern, so eventually he's going to make his way down to one of the bottom corners. I just sort of like to stand there in the bottom corner and just stab away at him, and hopefully, he'll come there. And eventually, hopefully, you'll be able to get that stun lock. So that's what I'm doing here, because trying to go and force the issue with Ganon is going to cause exactly what you saw it cause there, and that's he's just going to teleport on top of you.
Yep, and once you take that one hit, he kind of tends to stay on top of you, so you kind of take sometimes 2 or 3.
And while we are here in level 9 making our way back to Ganon, I do want to inform everybody that we still have more vodcasts here coming up on Randomania. Following this one, the match we get coming up next is going to be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be the one and only Crystal Saber versus Zardia. 2 very, very talented runners. So this, we're going to take, again, a little bit of a break, and then we'll be right back at it with another broadcast coming up.
Yep. I love what Sparkover did right there. Enters the Ganon room, right before she enters the Ganon room, and immediately hits Potion. So that's going to guarantee she at least get to where she wants to go. So this is fantastic right now. We have both of our runners basically on their way to Ganon at the same time. And Spark going to go ahead and try and get in the corner. Unfortunately, Ganon is skewed. And oh, that's very, very unfortunate there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Spark takes a driver a little bit too late.
And Spark going to go ahead and exit level 9 here. Probably going to go ahead and either purchase another potion or maybe go ahead and get the heart refill over in the forest. But we do now have Imasock using the last bit of his potion. Got a hit on Ganon, and there's a second one.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of trouble getting the stun lock, but nope. Almost. Just needs 8 hits. I believe that's 4. Gets him out for 7, and the big pig has gone down. Now we just gotta figure out where the girl is.
Well, they already know where the girl is.
Lodger shit.
Yep, it's literally up, up, take the staircase, go up, you're there. I think Sock thinks he might have a path here as well. So this is very, very interesting. Because both of our runners ended up in the Ganon fight at the exact same time. So ultimately, the decision that Sparkover made, while a safe decision to go ahead and go refill here, this is going to be what ultimately ends up costing her this race, because Sock went back in round 2 versus Ganon, ended up taking out the pig. But I don't disagree with the call that Spark just made there, because, you ultimately need to be able to kill Ganon to win.
Yeah, you don't want to beat your head against it, it's just not going to happen. And on green male and tunic, it's not a good feeling. And GG's to Imasock for taking first place in this race.
With a time of 1:01:34.
And I believe Sparkover won't be too far behind now that she is back to full HP.
Yeah, and that's the thing about, fighting Ganon, is one thing I've noticed a lot of in this tournament is that Ganon's spawn has been skewed from what it normally is a little bit, which, if you're so used to fighting him in a specific spot, having to adjust to that skew and adjust to his moving when on every frame when you're trying to hit him with a sword can be a bit of a pain. I was wondering what was happening there.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was us, but no, it was just Spark pausing. I'm guessing that was at the point where she realized she was probably typing in GG into SRL.
Yeah.
Guaranteed that's what that was. Also, I would like to remind everybody that tonight, right around 11:30, following both the last match of this week's brackets at 9, or this week's Swiss at 9 p.m. and the Routers Relish Battle Royal, we will be having the Week 5 matchup reveal. So be sure to listen for the announcement for that, and that reveal is going to be right over at twitch.tv/CrimsonAvix. So please make sure you go ahead and tune in for that. Also, as Sparkover is going ahead and fighting Ganon for round 3, please make sure you give both of our runners, twitch.tv/Sparkover and twitch.tv/Imasock, a follow.
And of course, a special thank you to Crimson Avix for not only the restream, but doing the tech work of tracking behind the scenes.
And more importantly, the biggest job he has to do is deal with listening to us live.
This is true.
But Spark, unlike Sock, has the wood sword, so this is going to be a much more obnoxious Ganon fight. Because we're going to have to worry about getting the 15-hit variety, or 14-hit variety stun lock, as opposed to the 7 that we got from Sock.
Well, Ganon unfortunately slipped away, almost had it. And it does look like Sparkover has the stun lock, so she should be on her way to finish off the big pig. There he goes. Just gotta switch the arrows to get the arrows. That makes sense. And Sparkover has grabbed the Triforce of Power.
Yeah, so this race, very, very good here. Looks like we're going to have about a 4-minute difference, and ultimately, the difference in this race was
One Ganon hug.
not just the one Ganon hug, but it was, like I said, the two big advantages that Sock had. The one extra heart and the white sword. But ultimately, like, Sparkover made both of our runners played fantastic. The decision that Sparkover made to leave to go get back health, the absolute right decision. Like, the absolute right decision, because bouncing your head off of a Ganon with 3 hearts is not fun. So that's the absolute right decision she made. It just happened to work out that, Sock had that extra heart, Sock had the white sword, so it's a lot easier to mitigate 7 hits than it is to mitigate, 14. So there we have it. That's going to be a finishing time of for Sparkover of 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 4 seconds. So in this race, as they were both 1-1 at the time, Sock moved to 2-1, Sparkover moved to 1-2.
Yep. So they're both finished, and since this is a podcast, we'll unfortunately not have interviews. We do see Sock in chat, so GG